into the dense landscape of downtown Tokyo is a phenomenon that's uniquely Japanese. Ultra-compact dwellings that defy conventional notions of design. A growing number of urbanites are calling these one-of-a-kind architectural gems home sweet home. Introducing the Japanese micro house, buildings that make stylish virtue out of necessity in one of the most crowded cities on Earth.
It's making an art out of the compactness of it all.
Architect and author Asby Brown says the micro house boom started to gain traction about a decade ago.
There was a big shift in attitude where people were sort of assuming they would not be able to build a big house, but were very happy to have a really superbly designed compact house. And this started kind of a trend, and a lot of architects were very, very happy to have projects like that because they thought it would really show off their ability. And homeowners were really happy to have something that they could feel was a cutting-edge design as well.
This black triangle on a busy thoroughfare in downtown Tokyo is part of one of the hottest trends in Japanese architecture right now, something called kyosho jutaku, or micro house. Whimsical, a little bit wacky, but surprisingly utilitarian, these dwellings are built on impossibly tiny plots of land.
Sori Oguchi moved into the triangle house with his wife 5 years ago. Like typical middle-class families, the couple never dreamed of owning a home with a prime Tokyo address, but then they got their dream house in miniature.
I got a 20% discount on the property because the corners of the triangle are considered worthless for building on.
Even by micro-house standards, this property can seem claustrophobic. Needless to say, in such tight quarters, not a single nook nor cranny is overlooked. The staircase doubles as shoe closet. The kitchen is tiny but functional, and hidden below the floor grate, not just crawl space, but enough room to tuck away an entire library. In these super compact dwellings, even entire rooms do double or triple duty. Oguchi, who's an art dealer, uses the first floor as an office.
This house is only about 300 square feet, or about 30 square meters. Now, for a kyosho jutaku, a micro house, that's on the small size. Now, the key to living well in a tiny house like this one is rooms have to be used for more than one purpose. In this case, the house is used during the day as a business office, and after hours, when the curtains go down, it turns into a living room, dining room, a place for this couple to relax.
Such ingenious use of space is second nature to Japanese designers who can draw on centuries of experience in small dwellings.
Kyoto's traditional merchant houses were also long and narrow, with inner gardens that allowed in natural light. A single room would serve as bedroom, dining room, and living room, all in one. This is the same idea.
But small house design also calls for a bit of visual alchemy. Yachio House, a project by 50-year-old architect Yasuhiro Yamashita, painstakingly arranges features like picture windows and a small garden to create the illusion of roominess.
Lay people, our clients, tend to think of space in just one dimension. In other words, how much floor space there is. But architects also work with the vertical and depth dimensions. We look at homes in 3D. You can make a space seem bigger. For instance, simply by adjusting the height of the room. 60 to 70% of human perception is visual. So I'm very meticulous about where the eye falls. There's a garden over there. So that makes this space feel bigger.
On the outside, the effect can be curious, even quirky. Yamashita says his mission is to make homeowners feel as if their house is actually larger than it is.
It's like billiards. You size up a space as your eye bounces off walls. So if the walls seem further away, you feel as if you're in a larger room.
Now, this house is made from a frame of timber recycled from 100-year-old rice warehouses and brought to the site. The house itself is only about 90 square meters, or about 900 square feet in size. It's tiny, but these strategically placed windows allow lots of soft, natural light to filter in, and it gives the illusion of the house being more spacious than it actually is.
Miserly floor space was seen less as blessing than curse in the years immediately after World War II, when the government rushed to throw up blocks of functional yet sterile apartment complexes known as donchi.
77-46.
The donchi would become a badge of humiliation when Japanese exports sparked a backlash in their foreign markets. In 1979, one European official charged that Japan's cheap exports were being underwritten by the low living standards of its citizens. The Japanese, he said, were workaholics living in rabbit hutches.
The post-war situation for Japan was really an incredible emergency in terms of housing. People were living in, corrugated tin shacks and really had nothing at all. So they were willing to accept what we would consider substandard housing in those first post-war decades in order to have a roof over their heads. That's where this whole bad attitude about the rabbit hutch comes.
Today, Japanese cities are as congested as ever. Affordable housing on desirable downtown sites is still out of reach for many. But the tech revolution has transformed house building. The number crunching involved in structural engineering has been automated, so houses can be custom built for a fraction of what they would have cost a generation ago. And that has opened up odd parcels of land all over town, once considered worthless for human habitation.
The biggest reason for Kyosho Jutaku is IT. What used to take a year can now be done in a matter of hours.
And once unheard of building materials like air-filled glass blocks are yielding fanciful creations like this glittering mini-home called Crystal Brick, or an avant-garde cube for two with concealed windows fashioned entirely from pre-stressed concrete. The old rabbit hutch never looked so good.
One of the more fascinating aspects of the whole phenomenon here of the ultra-compact house would be the change in people's attitudes. That rabbit hutch slur really stung Japanese people. They really felt, insulted on the one hand and inferior on the other hand, and it was really, a very big stigma that people felt about their housing conditions. What I detect since about the year 2000 is that people, on the other hand, now feel happier with a small house.
Young couples and single householders, like 61-year-old Shigeru Suzuki, are the main customers for Kyosho Jutaku, which account for less than 1% of the estimated billion-dollar market in architect-designed homes here. Kyosho Jutaku are not for the pack rat with lots of possessions. But the houses do allow homeowners to indulge in whimsy and tailor their dwellings to fit their personalities. Suzuki, a small house consultant himself, owns a boxcar house that is just 180 centimeters wide, but long enough to house a Kyoto-style inner garden.
The land and house may be small, but with this inner garden, you can see the sky, so it feels very spacious. Regular houses in Tokyo or Japan don't have interior gardens. With this, you don't feel cramped.
For Japan's architects, Kyosho Jutaku have become an intellectual challenge, a chance to reinvent the meaning of shelter from scratch.
With a Kyosho Jutaku, the usual rules for home building go out the window. For example, we can get rid of the foyer and the hallway to free up more space. We can also make up our own ideas for storage.
Japan's micro homes are starting to gain attention overseas. New York City is looking at the Kyosho Jutaku as an alternative for its ever-expanding population. And for other large cities, wherever space is at a premium, the Kyosho Jutaku is proving that compact doesn't have to mean cramped. Lucy Kraft, NHK World, Tokyo.